Good morning, everybody else. How's everybody doing today?
Good. It looks like Vincent's playing hooky.
Yeah, so Vincent is not going to be here today. He's with family. He's traveling again, actually. So he just messaged me earlier. So it's going to be me, but hopefully you guys are okay with that.
So how are your birds going in Gary?
Good. So we're done with two bursts. Actually, that's all the bursts I'm doing. So I'm doing cash outs right now. I'm sending applications for those. We actually, Vincent and I, we were shooting messages back and forth to see what rates we're getting. It seems like we're getting pretty much the same rates for DSCR cash out refis at 75.25, 7.5 or 7.6. We're getting about the same. Um, so that's what I'm doing.
I was just quoted by my local mortgage broker, 787, but no seasoning and no prepayment penalty.
Yeah, I have the 54321, and so does he too.
Yeah.
Is
So
that
I
all
was thinking about
loan?
paying that little bit extra for that no prepayment penalty.
Yeah, that's
Is
it's
that
my first DSCR. He's obviously done a lot of them, but it's my first DSCR. That's the only thing that holds me uh from
It's
like,
hard. It's hard to eat that money.
yeah, I'm like yeah, but
Yeah, it
I
takes a
guess
while to
if
figure
it
out
if
its tool.
they do fall down, I would take that cut. If, like, let's say in a year they go from 7.5 to 5.5. I don't know. I'll have to do the math, but I would think it checks out.
I don't think we'll get down to 5.5, but I'm,
Yeah, I'm being like,
no, I know.
Can I ask a quick question, Jim?
yeah,
I'm a newbie to this group, and everybody's been so helpful. I'm getting kind of learning about terms. When you say seasoning on a loan, what do you mean by that?
So that means you have to own the home for a certain amount of time before you can refinance it.
Thank you.
which
And different lenders are different ways.
Thank you so much.
Hmm.
yeah, conventionally they would require you to you can find banks that like Jim says, there's no seasoning period. So if you were, for example, working on a burr, working on something that you needed, you're using private money, you're paying a high interest rate, and you want to turn it around quickly. Let's say your rehab takes 2 to 3 months, maybe less, like a month if it's cosmetic, then you will be asking for those lenders that will allow you to cash out into a 30-year fixed mortgage and pay off your original debt, your private lenders or Harmony, whoever you're getting.
Thank you. Very helpful.
Well, you're gonna have Lindsay, you're gonna have a lot going on. You're gonna have your three turnovers, then your two turnovers plus your ADU.
Yeah.
You sound like what I'm doing.
I always think like I'm not busy, but I'm always busy, so it's just hard. Um, how's everybody else doing? I know I think we have two new people, Ashley and Steve.
Good morning, folks. Steve here. I'm calling from Jacksonville, Florida, new to the ORAAT community. Have one rental property out in Reno, Nevada, where we used to live. It was my primary. And then my wife and I moved here to Jacksonville, so we're living in her primary. And just been scraping this market here with a goal to pick up another rental property. Single family is kind of where I've been shooting so far and can't really get anything to pencil. So just thought I'd jump on and see what's going on around the country and what other markets people are diving into. And, since I've managed a property from out of state for 10 years, I mean, with a property manager, I'm not as afraid of that if that's where it has to happen. But definitely like the idea of something I could drive to and manage myself to make it pencil better, but haven't been able to find that here. everything's just so overvalued or just in really crappy neighborhoods.
Yeah, we keep hearing that Florida, it's really not good for cash flow or to invest right now. But so just to have an idea, normally Vincent is the main host. He's actually from based in California. He flips for active income, and for passive income, he invests out of state in Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, actually. And I help run this call, and I live in California too, but I invest in Gary, Indiana. And you see a couple markets. Bell here also invest in North Carolina, and Anna invests in Tennessee.
Yeah, me and Steve met last week.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we talked. How you doing, Steve?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Good. I'll be down that way next we're gonna leave out next Thursday and head down that way. So yeah.
Yeah, give me a
But,
ping, man. Give me my number if I haven't
I,
already.
all right, cool. Sure will. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Jim invests in California right now, but he's planning to move to Pittsburgh, I think.
Yeah, that's I'm leaning towards it. I was actually talking with Liam and Jeremy about a potential wholesale deal, but I don't think the numbers are going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I
Is that
mean,
is that the one you were talking about yesterday?
yeah, correct. Yeah,
Is that the one you were talking about yesterday?
Yes, it was on that one call. Correct.
Yeah,
But the rents are too low.
got you.
Yeah, I with the if the rents were a little bit higher, maybe, but I'm not in this to do $100 a month. That's just not.
Yeah, facts.
So you have a few markets here, and then every market obviously comes with its pros and cons and challenges. Like for example, Jim's market, I think you have transfer fees when you close on a property, right?
In Pittsburgh, they do. I don't know
Yeah.
a lot about it, but they definitely do, and they're expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So ownership title is transferred, then it's an additional tax you incur, or is it a fee by the closing
Additional
title
fee,
company?
that's correct.
Yeah, yeah. Are you thinking of moving into any particular market, Steve?
No, I have not really. I've looked a little bit in Tennessee and a little bit in Birmingham. Um, but just don't know the areas that well. Tennessee's still, it's kind of got the same thing going on as Florida. Everything's still super juiced. Birmingham has its own challenges with kind of lack of economic base. I was kind of checking out Huntsville, Alabama, because they got so much defense industry contractors and stuff up there. So I've kind of dabbled, just kind of looking around, penciling stuff in those areas. Haven't really got anything to work yet.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Well, if you could come in, you'll hear Vincent talking about investing in Alabama. So just keep coming. I know he's having another person from school. She's also investing, Amelia. She's also starting to invest in, I believe, Huntsville, actually, Alabama. So I think he's been very helpful.
Good.
And I think there's a Jesse in the call too. Good morning, Jesse.
Hey, good morning. How's it
Oh
going?
yeah, I've seen you before.
Yeah. How are you doing? Just listening and working.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, right now I'm just in the process of working on refining some properties. So that's kind of the big push right now. And yeah, definitely, rates are high. I've noticed rents are down. So I'm in Tennessee and the properties I have properties in Tennessee, but the rents have definitely gone down, so that's impacting kind of the approach for sure. So
Mhm.
yeah,
What parts of Tennessee are you in, Jesse?
I'm in mainly Clarksville area, and also have some in Chattanooga. So this most recent one was a bank-owned one we bought about a year ago. Well, actually last August in Clarksville. So it's basically 13 homes, and all but one are done at this point. And our pro forma rents, which, you know, we have a decent number there already. We didn't anticipate the decline, but you know, we're still okay because we bought it right. But with a decline in rents, expenses just became way higher than we expected, and it was just a lot of homes to rehab at once. So being, you know, out of state in Washington State doesn't help with the expenses.
How are you liking the Chattanooga market?
Um, I mean, honestly, the way I look at it is more, you know, who's the property manager, than anything. The numbers can work, but if you're, you know, if your property manager isn't great, you know, your deal really won't work anywhere. So for me, it's the property manager. They're okay over there. I just have a contractor that I use, and so he helps me, you know, save a lot, or he's kind of my, you know, second eyes down there. So that's valuable for me. And actually, I have them rehabbing these homes up in Clarksville, which is a couple hours away. Yeah, I'm just continuing to add because I think I've got, you know, property managers, okay, good enough. They communicate, but they're expensive. But I've got, you know, kind of this contractor I've been using for multiple years.
Cool.
Yeah.
Jesse, if you don't mind, how did you get that 13 house portfolio?
It was bank owned and somebody I know. So I bought this with, you know, another partner. Somebody I know was kind of tracking what's going through and found it, and we connected on that as well. So yeah, he did the legwork and found it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I mean there's another one that we have under contract as well. I just got under contract this week. There's 29 units, so nine basically seven triplexes and two fourplexes that are bank owned right now. That you know we have under contract as well.
Mhm. Oh, no, under the same bank?
Different bank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, like, how does your partner do build that relationship with the bank, or is it like a foreclosure that he has his eyes on?
Yeah, it's a foreclosure that he has his eyes on.
Okay,
Yep. So
awesome.
it's just worked out.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Yeah, how about you, Lindsay? When you're buying in Gary, are you buying on market or how do you approach that?
I bought on market if the deal's right. I bought off market as well. I bought through seller finance. But since I kind of belong to a network of investors in Gary, everybody kind of talks to each other. So if we know somebody that's selling, like we'll look at the same deal almost and you know advise each other. But on market, you can still find very much cash flow in Gary. Single families. It's not a very multifamily. We don't really have a lot of triplexes and duplexes
Mhm.
over there. Um, but I'm trying all kinds of different things. I also last year I did the tax lien sale in September. I actually got a lien, it got redeemed, so I got 10% back on my money, which was like $700. So it was $70 that I made. But this year also participated in a commissioner sale, which is a little bit different. This time I acquire a piece of land, um, residential zone. So not sure. I'm waiting on the period of redemption, which would be, I think it's 4 months, this one, 4 months. So we'll see what happens with that piece of land. It's in actually Hammond, not Gary.
What was the entry on that?
$500. I mean, yeah.
And are they doing that every year?
Yes, they do that every May, I believe.
Well, I will definitely be interested in that one for next year.
Yeah.
Honestly, it seems like build to rent there might be more economical.
Didn't Silver say no?
Huh?
I think Super say no, right?
The Zuber does, but I'm a builder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something I'm definitely going to look into because rehabbing some of these older properties is just not always economical.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the piece of land. It's only like 3,000 square feet.
Yeah.
But it's in between two other houses. Um,
Well, here's the biggest thing. If that convention center actually starts breaking ground, that area should pop.
yeah,
But
that is
that's a big if.
Yeah, so Gary's having a few things happening around it. We have the Hard Rock Casino Hotel that opened up just a few years ago, and the convention center that's coming to be built, which I don't know exactly where it's getting built.
Close to the Hard Rock.
Yeah, the 46408, I think, is where it's been built. But yeah, progress.
Well, that just brings in more jobs. That brings in more just everything. And eventually, with that kind of convention center, it should bring in more industry.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Yeah.
Regardless of it, I'm still investing on it because it cash flows.
Are you ever looking at any other markets or just sticking with Gary?
Since I've started my ADU here in LA, it's just dragging all of my cash. So currently I'm not looking at anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're a couple years out.
Maybe, hopefully not. If I see another seller finance, I might jump on it, but that's not looking actively right now.
Right.
Lindsay, can I ask a question? Hi, everybody. I'm Marilee. I'm brand new to all this, brand new. With the changes in California in the renters' rights laws back like 6 months ago, whenever it was, does that really affect, like you're doing an ADU thing? Is it true that makes it almost impossible to, because I'm in California, to remove renters from properties? I've read through that particular change and it seems like it's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to evict somebody from LA. I have never had to evict anybody from LA, but I think in the past I've only rented out rooms to traveling nurses doing midterm, month-to-month leases. So I particularly haven't had to go through the process, but I know that it is a long process and you have to have reason and you have to have a lawyer involved and
Yeah, I read through it and it's California is ridiculous anyway, but now it's on a par all to its own. And so renting out rooms, you don't face that same situation.
well, I am in the residence, so I guess it's a little harder to like
Okay.
claim. I'm not sure. I'm sure that it happens, but I think since I'm gonna be removed because my ADU is like away from the house, there's still like that separation for me to trial. So I'm going in with the hope of only doing midterm. So
Okay.
and to not result in a year lease for sure.
So in essence, yours are more like and this may not be the right term, short-term rental
Yeah.
type things. Okay.
Mhm.
Hi, Lindsay and everyone. This is Ashley.
Hi.
Hi. I think for the last couple calls, I've only been here when Vincent was here. So it's nice to meet you, virtually, Lindsay.
Nice to meet you.
I'm I'm investing from out of state, also from California. And because of the California tenant laws and the crazy prices, I got way too freaked out to invest in state. And now, for about a year, I've had this property in upstate New York, in Rochester, a single family home, and it's been going pretty well. I'm looking to that like next property, which is why I got like more involved in ORAAT and was just kind of seeing that there's a lot of like, burrs and creative finance that people are doing in the real estate world. But my big concern is I would really like my next property to be some kind of like seller finance deal, some kind of like creative financing, but I'm concerned that because I can't travel to my market really easily, I'm kind of tethered to my job, like almost physically. And I'm just concerned that if I reach out to sellers, they might think that I'm a scam. Um, do you have any suggestions for going around that? Especially because like the people I'd be talking to would be a lot more mature and would have a lot of equity in their home, and they have been the targets of a lot of scams. So,
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different differences. So what you could do is if you're directly to seller, you can get a Google Voice number with the same area code and their whatever town they live in, whatever town you're trying to invest on. So it's a local number, so they're more likely to pick up the phone. And you can also text them prior to you calling them. So if you text, hey, I'm Ashley, if they have an iPhone, I'm looking at your property, so and so, blah blah blah. Then your an iPhone is gonna recognize Ashley is calling, and it's not just like some random person calling from like an 800 and 855 number. So that would be mine. One, another thing that Vincent does is like letters, direct to seller mailers. And that's something that Michael's also been, I guess, marketing with Property Radar. I don't know if you ever used it. I haven't used it personally, but Property Radar has a way of like not only skip tracing the owner that you're looking at property, possibly, high equity, maybe out of state. You can mail, personalize a letter there and mail them all from the same software, which is Property Radar. So you could use any of those techniques to get onto the front of the seller, but the best, I guess, like the one that I use the most is just networking with other investors in the area and getting a hold of realtors that are doing creative financing already. So if like look up any other buyers or anybody that's what I used to do. I don't know if this is doable in New York, but you would see, like, you will look at your market and you will see who your market, the MLS, the property will fall off. So I will go in the county records and I will see who bought the property. It could be an LLC, it could be a buyer, or anything. Just looking at just property records of like transfer of title or taxes. In my market, you can see who bought it. If it's an LLC, it's a harder reach to call them directly. But if it's like another seller, then it should have a mailing address, an actual mailing address. You can use that mailing address to send your letter. Even you don't even have to use Property Radar. You can write a letter saying you're a buyer in the area. That's another way to go about it.
those are, I think those are all like good leads because maybe one technique will pan something out and maybe another one will resonate with somebody a little better. Um, like, do you like start off in the letter saying, "Hey, this is seller finance," or just asking if they're willing to like sell that property or they're looking to offload some of their portfolio?
I think the whole hook is to have them call you or contact you. Once they contact you, because seller finance is very about relationships, very about like establish a level of trust. Because obviously they're not using a bank, they're not pre-qualifying you, they're not running your credit, they're not running your income. So it's all about building that relationship. So once you like establish, hey, call me, let me get you on your phone, let me tell you who I am, like I'm growing, like you be honest, you're like a small investor, you're trying to build wealth to rentals, like Vincent said, flattery is also the best. I'm trying to get to your level of being an investor, because if you keep looking at
Thanks,
your
everyone.
market, you look like you look every day, which I'm pretty much addicted to it. You start seeing the same LLCs that buy the houses,
Yep.
so you like know who's actually actively buying or how long they had them. You know what I mean? So you're like, I want to be like you. And then, but are you willing to give up this property? But get them on the phone before you start spelling out like, I want a 6% interest. I'm gonna pay cash, and just
Yeah.
like call me. I'm totally interested. Let's discuss, or you can use
Okay.
ChatGPT to generate a letter that's like that's like attention grabbing.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I got a question for the group if we're kind of open the forum here. Has anybody from an investor perspective used HomePath or Home Steps programs from Fannie and Freddie to get into properties um, in this group? Or
I looked at it, but I have never gone through getting
that
pre-qualified.
sounds like the intent of the program is, the first 30 days are reserved for like owner occupants is what I've read here. And then after 30 days, 20 days or whatever, it opens up to investors that can bid and place offers. Just wonder if anybody's ever had success doing that. What about REO deal processes? Has anybody sounded like, is it Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we have one under contract right now, so it's bank owned, and we're going through our due diligence at the moment.
So you're finding those through the MLS, or how are you finding those typically?
No, I'm doing it with a partner, and he's kind of a realtor in Tennessee as well. So I've done stuff with I've bought stuff through him before, but he needed some help taking down kind of a bigger project. So he already had a connection. So he had found some properties, and we just connected through a bank connection that he has.
Have you guys been able to gain access before placing offers or to properties?
Uh, Gain access, you mean walking the properties
Yep.
first?
Mhm.
No, we're walking them now. We actually got it under contract maybe 8, 9 days ago, and our contractor walked it with my other partner who's local. And I'm actually right now I'm just waiting for his bids to come in um, at this moment. So we're going to whatever the bids are, we're going to go back and negotiate with the bank to see if we can bring it even further down.
Gotcha. So then you run your numbers, prepare your offers, and then they review and counter kind of a deal.
Well, yeah, I mean, we made the offer first before we got it, so all we had were pictures to look at. We didn't have an opportunity to walk it. So we made our offer based on the pictures and kind of what we thought. And now that we've walked it, I think two of them, for example, the roofs are basically skylights in a small portion. So that's going to add, a lot of work, right? Subflooring is damaged, walls are damaged. So that's going to impact, I think, what makes sense numbers wise for us. So we're going to go back and renegotiate that. Two of the properties have some zoning challenges. I don't think they're a big deal, quite frankly, but we're going to take advantage of that and try to lower the price on that as well. And I mean, we've already got it at a pretty good price, but the bank does need to get rid of it. And because I think it's only of the 29, so these are 3 and 4 units basically. There's 29 units. I think only 7 are occupied. And the rest you can just see them deteriorating because nobody's there.
So you put in an offer with contingencies. Was that a cash offer or?
Yeah, we're gonna go a hard money with it as well. So yeah, there's a finance. We have an inspection contingency, a financing contingency as well. Mhm.
Can you use a conventional financing instrument on deals like that? So you have to use hard money essentially gets around that.
Yeah, you have to use hard money, and then also because we're buying it at a deal, we have to season it, right? We have to get it, we have to do some rehab, season it, and then put a long-term loan on it. So that's kind of the play.
Gotcha. What kind of seasoning does that typically require?
Um, it's changing constantly. I mean, 3 to 6 months. Some might even do it sooner. If you're not pulling out cash, if it's just your rehab costs and the purchase costs. So it really varies on what it is.
So will you have to run like a 12-month carrying cost with the hard money, or what does that look like?
Yeah, that's the plan. We're doing 12 months for sure. I think some of them, I was actually running, was looking at, and part of the reason I'm off camera right now is, yeah, I'm trying to get those bids and we were trying to figure out what level of rehab to do. Because rents are probably capped in this neighborhood. So there's only so much that we want to put into it. So I'm actually waiting for some bids and trying to figure out where we want to spend our money, and is that going to impact our valuation? Um, so so sorry, what did I don't think I answered your question directly.
No, no, you did. You did. So on the hard money side of that, um, so the hard money lender, are they the type that you just send photos and then you put your renovation budget together, or how does that work with draws? Do they come do actual inspections?
Yeah.
I know that it's kind of done different ways, isn't it?
Yeah, it's done different ways. The one that I use on the 13 unit, I'm not going to use them again because it was all in-person inspections for every single thing, which is just a pain because, if you do flooring or some other minor things, some of them will just do a video inspection, which is a lot easier to do. So I'm trying to use a different one that will just do a video inspection for, relatively minor stuff. And then they'll send somebody for the more major stuff. And I don't know what that line is exactly for them. But I'm just trying to find somebody that's simple. And then also some require more details on the contractor bids. And as you know, contractors are not that detailed. I mean, their line items are very general. So it's hard to work with somebody that wants, a bid that a contractor breaks up into 10 items. They want it in 50. It's just really difficult to work with. Um, so just trying to figure that, yeah, trying to figure that out. It's always changing, how it works, you know.
Cool. Appreciate that feedback.
Jesse, not to keep you from your bids too much longer, but I do have some questions about owning property with a partner. So it sounds like you came to this deal with somebody else, and now you're going to be renting it out, presumably together. How does that work with like holding cash for reserves, holding cash for vacancies? You just have like a company business account that you agree to keep certain funds in, and then how do you take out from your cash flow? Do you already have like an agreement in place that says like you're not touching or you're not getting your return on your investments until you get to like X, Y, and Z in capital return? Or how's that work kind of holding long term with somebody else?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple different arrangements like this. I mean, it's generally people I've known for a while and have done this before. And I think it can vary. One person that I do it with, he prefers just to pay it out every month, and if there's an issue, we'll fund the repairs through the account. Another one, we're doing it just quarterly. We'll reconcile quarterly, so all the rents go into a business account that's set up for that LLC, and then we're checking every month, and then we'll kind of decide what our payout is every quarter. So it can really vary on what it is. For the more, and I've got a couple properties that are more stabilized, so we'll just pull out, every month. And again, if there's a repair, we each have enough that we'll just fund the repairs jointly.
Wow,
Does that
makes
does
sense.
that does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, that does because when just in like the YouTube or at oral, you see people have different approaches to like what they consider a reserve to be and how much they put aside for vacancy. So it's like, oh, like what if like I don't know, what if I was to like partner with somebody, but we have very different ideas of like how much we should keep aside, but it seems like it's negotiated way ahead of time and then you work with people that kind of have a similar approach that you do.
Yeah, I think so. So the ones that I'm pulling out with every month, well, that's the same partner that I do that with. We both have our own reserves. So if there's an issue, you know, we do have the reserves. The one I'm doing now with the newest partner, I mean, he invests a lot. I mean, his family does it and he does it, so he knows the deal. So we'll probably keep more reserves in that account, just to keep it simpler, since we know it's going to be kind of a heavy lift for a while.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but I guess the key is just don't run out of money. That's the key.
Yeah. And it also like do burrs, like that is so crazy to me. That seems like, I mean, I know you're doing it, but it just seems like burrs are a lot of kind of like unanticipated costs and sometimes a lot of risk and
That
yeah.
is true. So for the 13 unit that we're finishing, we bought the houses for 500,000 total, 13 houses, so about 38 to 40. But the rehabs were well over that. You know, I mean, we were probably spent 900 to a million on rehabs for that. And there's no way I would have done that had I not started burring in 2015 where I'm at near Seattle.
Mm.
And then I went out and then when you do it yourself, you're right. You realize how many things pop up, and if you're not there, stuff doesn't get done. Right? I mean, literally, I had to show up all the time to make sure contractors were working.
Oh my gosh.
And then I did a small rehab when I went out of state with this particular contractor a few times, and then it just kind of grew, and now we're just giving him a bunch of stuff. So,
Hey Jesse, this is Troy. You're in the Seattle area?
yep, I am.
What part?
I'm in the Newcastle Bellevue area.
Okay, cool. That's a good
Yeah.
area. That's where Beth Traverso's neighborhood or market. I'm up in Mount Vernon.
Oh, are you? Okay, nice, nice.
Did you say that these properties this one that you're looking at putting an offer in right now, it's a bank owned?
Yeah, so we have it under contract right now, and we have another week for our due diligence period. So we just had the contractor kind of walk it. I'm literally waiting for those bids right now, and then we're got to figure out our financing in the next couple of days as well.
Is this a multifamily or is this a string of single family?
Yeah, no, it's a string. It's 7 triplexes and 2 fourplexes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Is that here locally?
No, no, that is in yeah, no, that'd be out of my price range in
I was
Seattle.
gonna say, wow.
Yeah. That's in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fascinating.
Yeah. I stopped the last property I bought in Seattle area around Tacoma was in 2017, I think.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I've stopped looking, but it's hard not to look. You
Yep.
know, you see good deals, you're just like, oh, 'cause especially like there's a lot of opportunity in our neck of the woods for doing fix and flips. Like I have a couple that snagged up my neighboring property where I live, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
oh, I wish I had the capital. I should have jumped on it because they're gonna make out like with the 130 to 140 probably on the flip. So, because they bought it right. It's just like I look at that and I'm like, man, I need to just start throwing in some offers on properties in my area or in the surrounding areas to just because I know enough to be able to do it. And there's a lot to be made because like my market's in Kansas City and I've talked to fix and flippers over there and I mean if they do a really good flip, they're maybe making 55, maybe 50, 55, but most of them are like 25 to 30 on the turns. So it's not a lot. And so you do one here for 120, 130, that's like 3 or 4 of theirs. So yeah,
How many do you tend to do over here a year?
I have not done a flip here yet. I shouldn't say that. I did one in Granite Falls and then
Yeah.
it just got in over our head and sold it, when the market was still exploding back in 2021. So I was able to walk away with additional cash because it's just, it's such a prime area. Everybody's moving out to that area. And we basically gutted and hoteled it, basically what we did, and then turned around and made 15 off of it. So it wasn't end of the world kind of deal. But it's like when we started getting into the county and getting permits and stuff like that and dealing with the structure, I'm just like, we were quickly looking at like, we're going to run out of capital. And I wasn't savvy enough to understand how to get like private capital to do the flip. You know, had I known that, looking back at it now, I would have been able to probably pull together probably 60,000 to complete the project. And then we could have turned around and sold it for we probably could have made, like, at that time, it would have been ridiculous. It probably would have made probably 160, because that was when the market was just exploding.
Wow.
So it was just, but yeah, I haven't done any, but I'm savvy with doing construction type stuff. You know, we've basically property hacked our last 3 houses. And I grew up doing some construction when I was a kid, so I know the inner workings of it. It's just, you know, assembling a team and doing that stuff is going to take a little bit, but you know, it's as soon as you get that down, you know, because I'm looking at doing it to try to generate some capital to purchase my next long-term purchase and hold. So, because right now I have 1 duplex in Kansas City, and I'm really trying to scale up to buying some you know, commercial residential properties. So
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think out of state, I do it very similarly to Lindsay, right? Everything I've heard with Lindsay, she just builds teams and kind of, does what other investors do. And yeah, I've kind of done the same thing. And it's a lot safer when you're copying other people's, uh, you know, what they've done. So.
exactly. Yep. Same here. I've been working on putting together a team in Kansas City as well. It's just taking a little bit longer, but I'm starting to get my network over there established, and I got some real estate agents that are looking for some stuff. So I'm just right now no cash available, so no capital to deploy, and we're juggling a commercial project right now in our local market that's just full front and center, just trying to get it renovated and cash flowing. So it's to just say it the least, it's been a giant learning curve of doing an actual CRE product. So it's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, for sure. For me on this 13 that we're almost done with, basically it's 12 and a quarter. Um, with rents going down, and property values aren't the same. And then I didn't anticipate that. So there's on 2 plots, these 13 units. So I didn't factor this in. One plat is a duplex and a house. So that is easier to finance, but they look at it like a triplex. So we had to fight hard to get our valuation, which isn't as high as I wanted, but it's good enough. And then the one with 10 units on it, it's basically 9 houses and a duplex. That's one plat that's harder to finance, for sure. So we haven't sent the appraiser out yet. We've got, pre-approvals, but I'm worried about the appraising. So we're definitely getting our property manager to kind of line up the arguments on why it should appraise higher. But I think ultimately we're going to leave more money in than we expected on this deal, and it's not going to cash flow as much because of just rent compression on this property, and then just having to leave in capital. So hasn't been, it's been all right. It hasn't been as good as I hoped. So
did your rents in that area drop, or was it that they enforced rent control in the area?
no, they don't really. Yeah, I don't think rent control is a thing in the area, in kind of the Tennessee area. It's there. There's been a lot of deployments, military deployments. So people have been moving out. So there's just a lot of vacancies going on in Clarksville right now. So that's dropped our projected rents, a decent chunk.
That's
And
right. I
then
was just say, I think I'm familiar with Clarksville. Isn't that north of Nashville?
yeah, yes.
Yep. Okay, that's why I recognize it, because I was that was one of the markets I was investigating, is Nashville and Memphis as well. So I'm like, that really rings a bell.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I'll just say this, and then I'll stop talking, Lindsay. So, what I liked about Clarksville is their C-class area is a lot easier to deal with than the C-class area in Memphis.
Oh, 100%.
So
100%.
so yeah, I think just, that's a factor I look at as well.
Well, another thing is too, with the military, you're
Yeah.
always going to have need for rentals because I'm up here by the military bases as well, and there's always turnover with families coming and going in terms of, and the military housing, most people don't really particularly care for it, and they'd much rather live off base too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a perk to having that. You're always going to have, and you can seek out providing military housing through the actual military housing assistance programs that they have by
Mhm.
getting connected with them as well.
Ashley says, keep talking, Jesse. Keep telling us about your deals from Banco and Rios.
Yeah, well, they sound great, but they don't always work out. I mean, I was lucky to buy it right. Otherwise, it would be an issue. But yeah, they don't know. They sound great. Costs went up a lot as well. And when you have such a large rehab, it can get out of control, cost-wise pretty easily. So
Do you
we
know
got.
what your price per square foot is for your cost is for your rehab?
I don't have that number. I haven't broken it down. I have the numbers on each property, but I haven't looked at it necessarily per square foot.
Like holistically?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have it overall. I think later I'm going to deconstruct it after we kind of refi out of it right now. But yeah, it went a lot higher. I mean, these were full rehabs on these properties.
These are full guts.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. I mean, some of the
That
walls were caved in. I mean, they were bad. They
if
were bad.
you said you're getting them probably around like 38,000 per, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's about the going rate. It seems like the Midwest area, if you drew a big circle around it, all the way up into Wisconsin to like
yeah,
Kansas, all the way down to northern parts of Arkansas and stuff, Tennessee, Kentucky. It's like the price ranges are very, very similar in terms of construction cost and also the what you're buying a full gut rehab. Or I see a lot in my area, and it seems
yeah,
like it's very similar even in Indiana and stuff like that, where you're looking at properties that are in the 20s to 40s range for full gut rehab.
yeah, yeah. I mean, rehab's what, about 77,000 a unit. So yeah, pretty heavy. And our contractor keeps it down. I mean, he's definitely rental grade, not high end, just a plain rental grade, nothing fancy.
Middle of the pack kind of,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
which makes a lot of sense because it's like,
Yeah.
why spend more? You're not going after, unless you're going after a B class neighborhood that's a first time home buyer, kind of like, you know.
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. And these are the intent is long-term, rents.
So you're doing a total burr then.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is
Nice.
a
That's
total
awesome.
bird. Yeah,
How much capital are you putting of yourself into the projects?
yeah, generally 10% of the loan to cost is what I'm doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah. And
Mm.
unfortunately, in the 13 houses, I had to put in a little extra just because we went over, way over. So, yeah, I mean, I've got a little more in there.
It
So it doesn't
happens.
always work out. That's why it's like, you have reserves and, now I'm going after these other properties with a partner and a little nervous on, making sure I have enough reserves, but it's such a good deal.
Out of curiosity, what are you looking like of being able to get the financing on the 10 units you said that are it's the what one duplex and nine, I can't remember what is it, nine
Yeah,
single
that's
family?
right. Yeah, one
It's on the one
duplex.
plot.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got it took a while, but we found a lender that will finance it actually for 30 years. Um,
Nice.
which is what we were trying to get. Commercial would be a little bit easier, but with
Hmm.
commercial too, you need pretty much everything rented up and you need
Yep.
everything done. This lender, which I have not, partner found, they'll take it with, if we have half leased up, that's good enough. And they'll even accept it if we're not done with the last one. Uh,
Wow.
so which is I've never had that happen before.
That's incredible.
So yeah, fingers are crossed that that will work, but
Yeah.
that's the plan. But I'm more worried about valuation because it's all lumped together, so they're not going to value it like single family homes and a duplex. They're going to value it like a 10 unit, basically.
So it's going to be looked at almost like a commercial, but you're getting traditional financing basically.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they'll value it. They won't go, okay, you've got X number of homes in a duplex, and that's valued a lot higher. They're gonna say, no, it's a tenplex. That's what
Yeah.
that's what happened with the house that the other property, the 3 unit, the duplex in the house. They said, no, that's a triplex. And we had to argue that because it's not a triplex.
No.
Um, I mean, you can't value the house the same way. There's a yard, a driveway, all of that. So we fought it. We got it up a bit, but not as high as, we wanted to get our cash out. So we're gonna be leaving our cash in there, and we're just gonna get a little cash flow just because we're way over on expenses. So the rents are down. So it's not we're stuck with more money in it than I wanted to, and it's not going to cash flow nearly as much as I wanted to. But I mean, I think we'll be okay in, a couple of years, 3, 4 years, and I don't expect a whole lot of maintenance because we've redone pretty much everything.
Yeah, that's the benefit of rehab and like
Yeah.
doing a full gut rehab. It's just like buying a new build.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the other benefit, because I was just talking to my partner, is like, would we have done this again? And we know the expenses. And that was a debate. But I think the other advantage is, I have a full-time W-2. My wife, doesn't. So we're able to get real estate professional status. So I'm going to be able to use this against, my income,
Oh,
the
nice.
the repairs and all of the stuff, the rehabs that we've done. So at least there'll be some tax benefits as well.
Yeah, Jared was looking into that as well as
Yeah.
getting, taking advantage of the professional, real estate. You're being a professional real estate worker, so you can claim the income on your taxes for all the.
Yeah.
It's just tracking your hours of work is the biggest thing, from what I understood he was saying.
Yep. That's right.
Question for you: did you look or talk with the county, or is it possible to be able to break those units up into individual plots?
Yeah, so interesting. We did talk to somebody in that area, and he wasn't super clear. And I read the statute, and I said I think we can. And he didn't really seem to know super well. And
Is this someone at the county level?
yeah, and then we also paid somebody too, and he wasn't super clear. So yeah, we didn't get any great answers. I think there might be an opportunity to condoize it, like things are done in Seattle, but that may take a little while. So I think that's a potential exit strategy, or even a refi strategy down the road.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking down the
Yeah,
road is, that, or you can sell them off parcel by parcel too.
yeah,
Keep
exactly,
keep keep the
exactly.
assets you like. You get rid of the ones you don't like.
Yeah,
In terms of that, that's not surprising. When you get to the county level, they want everything in black and white. So it's like, and then it's, especially if you're out in rural part or something, it gets even more gray. So they're just like, well,
yeah, and we're worried about it because I don't tend to do a whole lot of commercial financing. So I didn't want us to do anything that would create any issues with a bank, that they disagreed with what we had done. So yeah, I definitely have a little bit of that worry. And then even, one of the houses there is a cabin, and that creates some issues as well because it's not a typical house. It's a log cabin. I mean, it's finished. It's got, heating and AC, but it's still, a log cabin, and that creates a wrinkle for financing.
Does it have running water and does it have
Oh
septic
yeah,
or
it has all
sewer?
of that. Has
It's
all
just
of
like
that.
okay.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what we're saying. It's basically like a house. But
It
we
sounds
do get a little bit of pushback on it. So yeah.
so. Knowing from my, being involved in commercial as well, as commercial residential, like there's an opportunity there potentially too. Is that when you say you're able to maximize the rents and you're able to improve the rents quite significantly too. With those all being said, you could actually get a commercial product on that to
Yeah,
where because it's all based on your NOI.
right.
So if your NOI and you have so even to greater to your benefit is like your capex is basically negligible since you just rehabbed them all. You would be able to increase your NOI by just having less expenses. So that could be as soon as you get that seasoned with it fully rented out, a year or 2 years period of time, you could maybe roll that over into a commercial product as well, and you might be able to get a lot more out of it.
That's a good point. Yep.
Because
For
commercial, the
that.
benefit with commercial is if you can increase your net operating income. All commercial products are based upon what the operational income is on the property. So if you improve your income on a property, you just increase the value of the property, not like your single family where it's based upon the comps in the area.
That's a
So
great point. Yep. Thanks. Yeah, I don't do a ton of commercial, so that's a great point. So thanks for
yeah,
that.
definitely. So if they're, I mean, especially if they're already looking at it as commercial, saying it's a 10plex,
Yeah.
if you're getting $60,000 a year, that would be worth probably, a couple $1 million then versus if you
Mhm.
look at it as a single family where they might be looking at it as it might be only worth like 750,000.
Right.
So that's a
Right.
300 to $350,000 increase on the value of the property. That's huge. So awesome. I hope you can pin this down and get it all figured out.
Thanks. Yep. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Hey, let's definitely connect some way or another. We're in the same market, so I'd love to meet
Yeah.
up with you sometime.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd like to do that.
Yay, making connections.
Yeah.
Jesse, this loan that you're getting, is it like a portfolio loan or what kind of loans?
Oh, for the new stuff, yeah, so okay, we're working through that as well. So great question. So the bank has put everything together on the purchase and sale agreement. So they're all separately, deeded, right? But they want it all on one. We're gonna try to go back and break it up because I don't want to do a portfolio loan. Right? Because generally they're tied together, but there might be an option to break them apart with a fee with one of the hard money lenders. But I'd rather separate them individually because some of the units I think are rent ready within a couple of weeks. Others might take, 4 months to get done. So yeah, I'm trying to avoid that.
Mm,
And just go with a straight, easy DSCR. Keep it simple,
sure.
one at a time. So I'd like to have just 9 separate transactions when it's said and done.
But wouldn't that result in 5 different closing costs? I mean, 9 different closing fees.
Yeah, I mean it would, but otherwise we're gonna be in hard money for a long time, right? Unless we start breaking it, we'd have to break it up anyways. So one is like really distressed, and that's gonna be a 6 month lift, and we're planning just to go. So what I did on the 13 unit, the earlier one was we kind of did all the roofs together. We did all, outside vinyl, but it took forever. This one we're gonna just go house by house because some are really close to rent ready. And as soon as it's ready, I want to be able to refi it out of hard money. So the approach will be a little different this time.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think they'll appraise pretty good. So we should have a lot there.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, keep us updated.
Okay.
Good morning, Kenny, Jen, Amelia, Renee.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. Good. I mean, not much, just trying to get like our midterm up and running, just and wrapping that up so that we can list it. And then always looking for new deals, I guess, or more deals. Yeah, not much going on, just trying to stabilize. I think Kenny told me yesterday, this is fresh news, like how much we lost last year. I'm like, what? And so I was like, are we negative that much or positive that much? And he's like, negative. And it's because like a lot of the rehab that we did and also like the market being soft and trying to get renters in. So yeah, just a reminder. And you know,
and also natural disasters.
oh yeah. So for me, I'm very impatient. So I'm always like, Kenny, are we ready for the next deal? So him reminding me of that just kind of made sure I slowed down a little bit. Like, while we still always look, or I always look and want another deal, the next deal, it's just a reminder of like having enough reserves and how things always go wrong when you don't want it to go wrong, right? Like what Jesse said, you underwrite it and then your rehab goes a lot more and the market's softening. So it was just it literally happened yesterday. He texted me saying that, you know, we didn't do well last year. So it's just a reminder of like to slow down and stabilize and make sure you have enough reserve. So that's all.
Mhm. Makes sense. But I also heard that you did your first Meller. Is that correct?
We did it a couple weeks ago with the property radar, and I've been asking Kenny like if we had any hits, and he said no. Like Casey also, I don't know if he's on the call, but like Casey also did it. So I think like right after Zuber did the live, and then you know we wanted to try because we thought, you know, Zuber is always really good about looking for stuff that's good for people like us, which is why I really like him. So he's like, yeah, this is something busy W-2 employees can do month over month. Just send like 30 mailers and see if you get hits. It seemed easy enough for us to like try, but nothing yet. Doesn't mean we won't try again. Yeah, it's just another avenue, another tool in the toolbox, right? And then like, you know, I think, was he talking about it, or I think Lumberjack was talking about it this weekend as well, about Jennifer Stewart, right? Cold calling, which we've talked about before with Vincent, right? On this call. So that's another avenue. I just don't know if it's worth it to pay. Because then you also have to do the follow-up at the back end if you even get any leads, right? And I don't think Kenny and I are there yet as far as just bandwidth and yeah, so many things to do, but probably just need to calm down and stabilize.
Yeah, you have a lot of houses. You guys have like 12 houses or 20 houses?
I don't know. I think 15, I think.
Oh, I think about 15, no, about 16 properties.
Mhm.
It's 23 doors.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but then like another thing, like I was listening to Mark and he was talking about like private money lending, you know. So I don't know. Or my mind's all over the place. Yeah. So but I think most importantly, what we learned last year, which was a big mistake, was that we had two projects going on at the same time. And then I started a new job and there was just normal chaos within the family, right? Of just sustaining. So I think Kenny, after that experience, he's like, only one project at a time. So I haven't closed the MTR as far as even listing it to wrap it up. So therefore, no other projects.
Mhm.
Unless, Lindsay, there's a good project. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm like, there's a deal coming, so
I know, hard.
hard to say no.
Yeah, but good to see you. I haven't been on for a while, so good to see you.
Yeah, good to talk to you. Amelia, what are we doing?
This week I've just been finding realtors. I followed some of Jen's advice and Ashley's advice from the Woman's Weekly Call, and I looked at like bigger pocket forums. And Lindsay, I think you told me to ask a listing agent. So I actually had a bunch of people start replying to me. I think the first agents that I initially talked to, they were just too polite to say that I wasn't a big enough fish for them to fry. And that's where the disconnect was. And I was just like, oh, do realtors in Alabama, are they just not hungry? Which obviously is not the case. I just was reaching out to the wrong one. So I have someone that is going to be doing a video walkthrough for a property that's currently rented and was just fully rehabbed. I think somebody did the BRRRR strategy and they want to sell it, is what's happening, and it cash flows a decent amount. So she's going to walk it on Monday and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, Amelia's doing out of state for the first time, so she's going through it.
Yeah. It's it's unnerving to not be there to just like drive by the property or that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm excited and I'm nervous and I'm glad that I have boots on the ground.
Awesome. Do you think you're gonna be flying in to close the property, or are you gonna have your family walk it?
You know, I think I'm probably gonna fly in. After talking to some property management companies too, I'm thinking about self-managing because I use Hemlane for my properties that I have in Oregon, or my duplex in Oregon, and I just feel like I would rather do it myself. And also my mom lives out there and I want to see her more, so just use my credit card miles and hang out for a weekend every once in a while. So I think I'm gonna fly out there.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of a delivery, but I have a lot to say about that because I haven't been managing from a distance.
You muted yourself, I think.
Yeah, I'm curious, Troy, what your experience with
I Well, if you do fly there, it's all a write-off. Make sure that you keep all of your receipts for all of your meals. 50% of your meals are write-offs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. No, actually, I wasn't even thinking about that. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Hi Lindsay and I mean sorry, hi Amelia and Jen. Nice to see you on this one. While we're waiting for Troy, can I ask people about their experiences with getting a title company? Like, has it been hard to do that without a bank involved, or is it like okay if you have like a seller finance deal? Is it relatively easy to find like title people?
In terms of communicating, you can reach out to any title company. Like, hey, I'm a prospective person. I, wanna know that if you guys do creative deals, how many percentage of your transactions are creative? Do you have an attorney that does creative? You can even ask them for like stock contracts, like that they used before that have like no particular information, but just like breakdown. But no, you can pick up the phone. They're technically not a non-biased party. So they're not for the seller, they're not for the buyer. It's just like a service. So you should be able to contact anybody, email as well. Email them and get an answer.
Is it worth shopping around for them, or are they basically the same kind of service, same kind of price points, and it won't really matter in the long run?
Shopping around for title companies?
Yeah. Is there a huge difference in price between one or the other? Or is it just some people have better experience with some than others?
Lindsay, let her know that check for discounts for investors. Title companies will give discounts to investors.
Thanks, Renee. That's good to know.
Yeah, there are different prices, like because seller finance is broad, right? There's a lot of what it goes, they're subject to, there's land contracts, there's agreement for sale, there's owner finance. They would have like different fees for the type of contract because some of them are more intricate than others. So you would want to ask that. The land contracts are $500, subject to maybe more, I'm not sure. But you definitely can purchase around like title search, the actual contract, any title insurance fees would be like what you're asking for, as far as title companies. But a huge discrepancy in fees I have not seen.
Okay. Mm. Do they provide a lawyer, or would I also need to get like a lawyer on my own?
You could get a lawyer on your own. They
Mhm.
also should have an attorney.
Okay. So if things like move really quickly, I could go kind of all through the title company, or if things are a little slower, I can kind of do things bit by bit. Is there a
Yeah,
reason not to use them? The titles insurance, I mean, the titles attorney?
a reason not to use them. I would say like if you have used already a title company, you're probably a client with them. But there's no, you should be using the title company's attorney, but if you wanted to have an extra layer of security, you would want that contract seen by attorney just in case if there's any other securities that you want to use on your creative financial deal. And then if like let's say you have a contract already drew out by your title company attorney, then you going to your own attorney and just have it review it, it's cheaper than going to your attorney first and have them draw a
Mm,
contract and then take it to your title company and have the attorney review it. And then you
right.
make it okay for the state, county laws and all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's just the cost review. It's not like kind of writing it and then draft reviewing it. Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'm back.
We're waiting for you.
Sorry, guys. Caught me right in the middle of a very technical delivery. I was having to deliver a refrigerator to a pharmacy, and they wanted it inside, so it became really fun, to say the least. Basically, what I was saying is it Ashley that you're thinking of purchasing the property in Alabama? Am I
Oh, that's a
correct?
minimum.
Amanda? Okay. So I purchased my duplex in Kansas City, and I have yet to step my foot on that property. So I had my agent walk through, do a video, walk through everything. I basically contacted a bunch of contractors in the area, built my team up, and did everything. And I'm currently managing it all on my own using Rent Ready. So it's there's a lot of ways you can build systems to actually make it work for you. Like I just tell other people that always, like when I've been on other Zoom calls like Frank's and others, a lot of people are very hesitant to doing something similar to what I'm doing because they're like, I'd rather be able to go to my property and check it out. I just don't trust people. It really depends on your level of risk and level of comfort. You know, if you
Yeah.
feel like you need a property manager to do it, and it sounds like to me you're already aware of Hemlane and it's what it has in terms of offer you, that there's a lot of options with Hemlane. I haven't used it, but I know that their product, they provide, you know, a lot of assistance to be able to help self-manage.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I feel comfortable investing out of state and seeing the property just maybe like once a year or something like that. But I just don't know what value property managers for me would be providing if I'm going to be going out there anyway. And I could maybe use family to handle, showings or stuff like that.
So I come at it from my perspective, but I also come at this question from the perspective that I'm in pretty good communication with a lot of people that are investing from out of state, such as like Frank, even like Chester and several other people that are using property managers in their local markets, or not their local markets, their out of state markets. And they are not very pleased with the property management companies. And from my interactions with other people that are successful investors, is that it generally, you can burn through several property managers before you get the right one. And then when you get the right one, they could be the best like person on your team, because they do everything for you. They're the ones that go and walk the properties. They tell you like, hey, this is what we need to get it rent ready. This is this is the tenant base that you're going to get. This is what we can get on rents. And they'll structure everything for you. It's just being able to find that right property manager. And from what I've seen is you gotta have a thick skin if you're gonna go the property management route, of being able to like contact your property manager, like, hey, what's going on here? I have questions about the disbursement that went into my account. It's short this month. Or, hey, I see you've made a couple charges on doing some renovations. What were those renovations about? Some people just get really like tentative to contact the property manager or management company to see like what's going on. Secondly, then they get ghosted by the property management company too, quite often. And it's like, so if you're paying for a service and you're not really getting that much in return, you kind of have to be like savvy when it comes to understanding your contract. Because if you're stuck with them and you're 3 months in and you're not very happy, well, you still got another 9 months, unless there's a clause in there, a performance clause stating that if they're not performing to their duties, then you can release the contract or whatever. So that's my opinion on that. I think go for it. I think manage it yourself. I like having the control, but at the same time, you got to remember, like, you're going to get phone calls on your weekends. You're going to get phone calls whenever.
Yeah.
When your tenant's like, hey, the toilet's clogged, or hey, the faucet won't turn off, or the lights went out, it's a GFCI issue, or it's a breaker issue, stuff like that. You're always on, being able to respond to them, but also not being completely subservient to every single call that they make.
Right.
Like Matt, the lumberjack landlord, he's got a lot of good systems. He's someone I would say definitely get to know his systems. He's really good about how to communicate and train your landlords or your tenants. So, and how to communicate with them. Like, hey, if it's not fire, flood, or a direct imminent threat to your life, don't call me. Text me. Because otherwise they'll call you about everything.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
AC
I think
stopped
on
working.
Hemlane too, it submits they have to submit a request via Hemlane. So the way that they communicate will be through the portal. So they pay through the portal, they make requests through the portal, I get notified, and then we can send a handyman out and try to get that done as soon as possible.
And that's communicating with your tenants too, because I have the same thing too, but they still call me.
Oh, okay.
It's like, hey, did you submit a maintenance request? Oh yeah, I was going to do that. Well, go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Who does your showings, like out of state?
Oh, Lindsay, was that for me?
Yeah.
So I'm still experimenting that. I just got fully leased back up again. So I'll say this much: being a rookie in terms of it, I tried hey, let's do like a open house kind of scenario. Set up marketing for it. Hey, we're gonna have a showing Saturday and Sunday from this time. Show up for it. And a part of that process, we were marketing it, and I was, that's another thing, is when you're self-managing, you're getting rent, apartments.com, Zillow, all the apartments, because we were using Rent Ready's site to manage it, the marketing of it, and then they distribute it to all of the rental markets. So you're getting emails, you're getting phone calls of people that are interested in it. But anyways, I set up the showing for it, and then I contacted my real estate agent, like, hey, do you know anybody in the area that would go and set up my property to do the showing for Saturday and Sunday at this time? You know, we worked out a payment arrangement of it. He said, oh, I got an in-house guy that runs a property management company. He's one of the real estate guys I work with, but he's also running a property management company. You know, of course, they're going to be like, hey, you know, we'll save you some money and we can operate this for you. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I want my cash flow. I don't want a property manager, you know, but hey, I'd really appreciate it if you could do this for me. You know, could you show the property, vet kind of like the tenants that are coming in here, provide contact information so I can respond back to them. I got them in there. They showed it. Not that many people actually showed up for the actual like viewing. And then on top of it, like come to find out, like the day of, or no, the day before, like the guy I was working with, the property manager, I thought it was gonna be him. He's sending out one of his staff guys. So I don't know who this guy is, didn't know to communicate with him. You know, he's gonna go do this. He didn't come prepared. He didn't have a spreadsheet to take information on. You know, I didn't get the chance to talk with this guy about like, hey, you know, this is what I'm looking for in a tenant, blah, blah, blah. So this is kind of what I ended up doing though. I turned all my units to keyless entry. I have cameras on my property. So what I would do is I would have any prospective tenant that was wanting to view the property. I would put them on I put them on a calendar, do a schedule showing. And when I would tell them, it's like, hey, when you approach the property, when you get parked, you know, give me a call. I'll walk you through the process of getting into the self-guided viewing. I can either be on the phone with you, answer any questions that you have while you're walking the property, or you guys can walk if they're with other people. You can go ahead and walk the unit and then give me a call when you're done, and I'll explain to you how to lock up and answer any of your questions. And that actually has been more beneficial just doing it that way, because I can see when they pull up on my cameras. I know when they're there, I know when they're leaving. So it actually worked out pretty good, and it's made it easy. But you also got to be available to do that. A lot of times they'd pull up and they call me and they're like, oh, yeah, and I walk them through the process of checking in. And my keyless entry, I can do a one-time code, but it takes someone to be there to do it, to change it. So I just had my contractor put in a code after he got done turning the property. I created a code for people that were viewing it. And then when I leased it up, I deleted that code. So it was no longer available. So that's kind of my process to showing the property from a distance. And it actually has been pretty beneficial. The hard thing is really being able to vet the tenant and knowing kind of like who they are. You know, you don't get to see them or anything like that. So not trying to be judgmental or anything. So like I found out after we leased up my unit and have been communicating with the actual tenant, like my contractor went out to do some work on a couple of things that got called out on the walkthrough. And so I had him go out there, and he was telling me, he's like, oh yeah, he's like, the guy was saying that the toilet wasn't working right, so, or it was leaking, and that's what it was. It's like, we just replaced that toilet. He's like, it's leaking already? How's it leaking? He's like, well, just not gonna, you know, try to be mean or anything, but he's like, you know, your tenant, he's a really big guy. So I don't know if he might have wiggled the bolts free on the wax ring or something like that. He's like, I'll come out and check it out. I'll come to find out, basically what it was is the valve in the tank was running constantly and it wasn't leaking or anything. So, but anyways, not trying to be judgmental. He's like, just letting you know, he's a big guy. He might be a little bit rough on your property, just let you know. So it's, with that being said, it's like, I'm not going to be discriminatory because someone's overweight. You know, it's if you are the type of landlord that really wants to know who your tenants are just by, you know, how they behave, how they interact, what car they're driving, Are they clean? Are they dirty? Kind of stuff like that, because that's what we hear a lot in, being able to self-manage and actually getting the right quality tenants in your properties is looking at those little things of knowing, like, is this tenant going to take care of my property? Are they going to be clean? And so it's also having a clear understanding, like, where your property's at, what kind of tenants you're going to attract. Because I know the tenants I'm going to attract, they're going to have terrible. Sorry, my AirPod died.
Amelia, are you gonna use Hemlane for showings?
Well, so for the property that I am wanting to buy, there's a tenant in already. So,
Oh, okay.
but after that, I would probably schedule a showing day for all interested applicants, and then I'd probably pay my mom, or depending on how long it's been since I've seen the property and my availability, I might just fly out there and show it for a weekend. And my husband was talking about installing something similar to what Troy's talking about, where it's some sort of keypad with codes that you can change, but then we would need Wi-Fi. So he was thinking about installing like cellular data. So I don't know. We'll kind of cross that bridge when it comes to it, I think, but probably either myself or my family will do that.
Awesome. Excited.
Yeah. I got a realtor to respond to me, so, and schedule some showings, so I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I do have to hop on another call, but it was nice talking to you this week. I hope you come back next week. I hope Vincent is going to be back. And hopefully you guys have many things to report next week.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Lindsay, have a good one. Hey, Jen, thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Thank you. Have a good weekend, guys.
I was going to reach out to you about my midterm. So anyways, we'll talk about it
Yeah.
later.
Anytime. Anytime.
Bye.
All right. Bye.